co-founder of Advantage Club. Prior to starting this and committing last 10 years of my life to the HR world and trying to make workplaces happier, I am an AI engineer by background. Did my master's from UCLA back in 2012 when AI was not the buzzword. And one of the pet peeves that I have is that when people confuse AI with automation, it's something which irks me. So let's start today's session with a fun exercise in which we'll try to determine if the following items are AI or automation. So if you think it's AI, please raise one hand. If you think it's automation, please raise both hands. So the first scenario, an employee engagement platform sends a birthday card to an employee on the date of their birthday with their name on it and also informs the manager that it's the birthday of an employee. Is this AI? One hand for AI, two hand for automation, please. Okay, great. So I can see most of you guys have raised two hands. Saw some one hand as well. This is not AI. I have been in round tables where people have called this AI, and this is not AI, this is automation. This can be AI if your greeting cards are very personalized. They're not in standard template or fixed template. They get maybe accumulate all the things that people have said about them, maybe the heat map or something like that. Second one, platform reminds an employee of another person's birthday depending on their past interaction. Maybe they're part of the same hierarchy, or maybe they give badge to each other. Again, one hand for AI, two hand for automation. That's great. This room is very wise. This is AI. And this can be essentially AI if it is not built on fixed rules. Like if it is not like if someone gave me a badge 10 days back, then they will get a recommendation for that. It is more than that. Next one, the most used brand starts showing up on top in any rewarding redemption marketplace or any e-commerce platform. Is this AI or not AI? This seems like a little confusing. The room is splitted. This is, again, not AI by design, because we are just talking about a simple rule that what is used most is coming on top. But if there's more to it, if it includes multiple parameter, person's interaction, then this can be AI, but by design, it's not AI. The next one, a simple one, if a platform helps you write messages better while recognizing someone, yeah, again, a lot of you got it right. This is an AI in most of the cases, unless someone is trying to cheat the system by feeding in fixed message and just showing you randomly. If this is actually created in a generative form, then this is AI. The fun one. When you talk to your friend about maybe going to Bali, and all the social media ads start showing about Bali, first of all, how many of you find it scary? Yeah. And this is freaking AI. We have been living with it since many, many years now. Now, moving on to the employee experience side of things, let's look how employee needs have evolved and how does it tie it with Maslow's hierarchy across different generations. We've all heard about all these fun words, baby boomer, Gen X, millennials, Zoomers, probably the best generation which makes our life easiest. But let's talk about how the needs have evolved. So baby boomers are the people who were born in the mid-1940s to early 1960s. Most of our parents fall into this age bracket. These guys actually went to job to survive, to earn for us, to feed us. This was the era of roti, kapda, and makan. And people have a lot of appreciation for the work and the employer because it was for survival. The next generation was the generation for security. So this is the era where companies like SBI, ONGC, they're still the great employers. People still love them. I know a bunch of people chase them. But this was the era when they were the poster boys of employment because everybody was seeking job security. Then the next area is millennials, where I personally belong as well. And this is a generation which cared most about belongingness. So before starting Advantage Club, I spent a few years at Amazon, Microsoft, Oracle. And one of the key things for me while working at my job, which gave me satisfaction, was to ensure that whether my ideas are heard, whether I know what is happening in the organization, can I make an impact to the outcome of the organization, or at least the product I'm working on. That's belongingness. This is where a lot of us are right now. Now the fun generation, Gen Z, for them, belongingness, security, survival is given. They want more than that. They want to be thanked for doing the job. And this is very hard, especially for baby boomers, to understand that why someone needs to be thanked for doing their job. If you look at how they have been brought up, a lot of it will come from that. So if you look at a Gen Z's life, before a real graduation, they actually get the graduation celebration at least 4 times in their life. Versus a millennial like me, I only got it once at UCLA, and both my parents didn't show up for that. My dad simply said that, we admitted you, we paid your fees, you're not dumb enough. You will get the degree. So why should we come? The next generation is probably the Gen Alpha, and what they might be going according to Maslow's hierarchy is self-actualization, so maybe we can start preparing for it. So this is going to be an era where job will not be a way to lead a life. It will not about work life, forget balance, even having two different aspects of life. People will probably start moving towards using work as a way to fulfill their life goals. And this is something which is already happening at very early stage right now. That's why companies like WeWork did excellent in hiring, irrespective of whatever the outcome was with the company, because they started saying that they are elevating the consciousness of how the work should happen. Even we are trying to follow that practice, in which I personally actually believe that Advantage Club exists to make workplaces happier, and we're not claiming that we are just a reward recognition platform. So this is going to be the future, but till the time this becomes 100% of a reality, which will be incredibly hard, I guess, for all of us to deal with, probably we can live with giving awards and recognitions. Now, moving on to rewards and recognition, as we have all established, this is an important pillar for the success, and especially for Gen Zs. Let's look at what are different types of rewards, recognition, total rewards program which exist. So first is culture-based awards. This is the most popular form of recognition. This is what the classical R&R is also associated with. Second is performance-based recognition. I'm sure there cannot be a company which does not do this, because this also includes things like sales incentive. When people hit their numbers, you have to reward them, especially in sales team. Third is flexible benefits. A lot of you guys run wellness programs, give travel experiences, particular gifts during LSA. Some of it fall into flexible benefit case. And fourth is moments that matter. So first, let me talk about how do you frame a good culture-based recognition solution. So it first starts with policy. So when we talk about recognition policy, we get asked a lot of questions around it. So let me demystify some of those for you guys. So the first question we typically get is, what should be the budget for recognition? The general thumb rule in the industry, or irrespective of whichever industry you are in, is 2 to 5% of total salary is considered to be a good recognition budget. And if you are talking about people who are in the early stage of career, then we are talking about 4% of their salary as an ideal budget. If we are talking about senior folks, then 2% can be good enough. One other question that we usually get asked, how many people should be recognized in a year? According to the data, most successful recognition program award 35 to 60% of the population from paid rewards, depending on how exclusive you want to make it. If you also add non-monetary to it, the peer-to-peer appreciation leg, then people would recognize 55 to 75% of the organization. If you're recognizing less than 35% of the population, then probably you're not impacting enough number of people. And if you end up recognizing 90% people, then kind of diluting the value of the award as well. So that is the basic thumb rule is what we have observed. To each its own, but we have seen this to be consistent across almost 1,000 companies that we work with. The second important part of recognition is real time. This is also something very specific to the new world we are living in. And not only Gen Zs, but all of us are now living in a world where we get groceries in 10 minutes. So how can our recognition wait for 9 months or 10 months for our appraisals to happen? And appraisals are anyways a complicated process, because the focus is more on the increment number, the rating, and not really the recognition. The third is personalization. Not only the why you are giving the recognition, but the way you are giving recognition should be personalized. So when you're giving a recognition to someone, it's very important to talk good things about them, why they are getting recognized, what's the impact they are making, and assure them that they are part of the future plans. And the last is the social recognition. I always tell all my team leads, and a lot of them are first-time team leads, recognize in public and criticize in private. This is very, very critical, because when you recognize in public, you are actually magnifying the impact of that recognition, because you're telling in front of those people with whom they spend a lot of time in. But when you're doing criticism in public, then people get more defensive, they look at more as an insult than really a learning opportunity. Now, moving on to the performance-based recognition. This is, again, something which is very common. But what has astonished me in last 1 year is that even things like sales incentive are still manual in organization. And if you go and talk to an average salesperson, they won't really know the amount of incentive they are going to make. I've also met employees who don't know how the incentives are actually calculated even at the end of the quarter, end of the year. They just get paid a number. They don't know how to do it. So if someone doesn't know on live basis when the period is on, how do you expect them to really hit the number or go beyond? So a lot of it is just going by luck and skill of people. This can be solved in today's digital era. There are platforms, including ours, which can help you digitize the entire sales incentive calculation, make it live for the people, and you can go even one step ahead and start sending them nudges that you're about to hit 90%. You do 10% more and you get X much more money. You can gamify the engagement, make a leaderboard out of it. Moving on to the flexible benefits, a lot of companies here have things like wellness budget, travel experience budget, and one of the most obvious way of doing a wellness budget is to maybe give a doctor consultation or gym membership to employees. How many of you have given doctor consultation to your employees? How many of you have seen more than 50% of people actually utilize it? Wow, okay, that number is astonishingly low versus what number of people have given. So if you look at this world, you are actually paying for all the employees. So that entire loss is borne by the company. Instead of that, if you would have given the money in a form in which employee can choose between maybe doctor consultation, maybe preventive health care, and maybe going for yoga, maybe going for alternate care, which is not part of doctor consultation by design, you're empowering them. So as an HR, why do you want to make choice for 100 people, 1,000 people, or horribly for 100,000 people when everyone is so diverse? This concept can be applied beyond wellness to travel experiences, L&D, and a lot of other use cases. Now, moving on to the last part of total reward in this presentation, which is moments that matter. Again, to a lot of employees, different moments are differently important. Like if I talk about my father, he doesn't care about his birthday. When I talk about myself, it's a one-day affair. But when we look at Gen Z, it's not a birthday, it's a birth week, it's a birth month. And if you are not part of it, then you are not part of the essential life. I've heard some of my younger colleagues tell me that they don't like their birthday because it comes in December. It's winter. I'm like, who thinks that way? I can't think that way. So you have to be part of this generation, and you have to celebrate the key moments with the employees. Now, moving on to some of the other important parts of reward recognition, you have to personalize. Again, technology can play a big role in there. You can have generative AI in today's world via platforms, which can help you personalize the citation you're writing for the people. You have to drive redemption. Any reward that you're giving to people which is unusable or is not giving the right value to the employee, then it's almost criminal. The third is drive higher engagement, higher penetration within the organization. Again, AI can help you do that. And keep it fresh. So you have to create new badges, new awards. And in a manual world, which existed 2 years back, we used to do it for a client, but it was a big pain because you have to create new badges, you have to work with designer. It was very operationally heavy. But now with Gen AI, it's very easy to create badges, and we have built a solution around that as well. So please allow me a minute to introduce one of our AI tool, Adva, which will just cover these 4 things. So the first use case is the personalization use case, where as you are awarding people, you can actually take the Gen AI help to personalize the message for them. The second one is a reminder tool, which will, depending on your interactions, will remind people that you can do different things on the platform and it will not be crowded. So it's a machine learning algorithm which will help you personalize the use cases. The third is a personalized recommendation engine on which will recommend you brands on the basis of your historical behavior, your colleagues' behavior. And then it will also talk about what brands are trending in your company to drive higher redemption. And the last and the most fun is to create dynamic badges. With no help of designer, no resource required, you can create your own badges. You can keep on creating 100 badges as per your wish. So that's on the AI side. Now moving on to why recognition matters. This is obvious. All of you guys are HR professionals. I don't think you need this. This is more for the people you have to convince. Like Rekha was telling, that you have to be a business partner to really impact and get those decisions approved. So let me give you some data to empower you. So we did a study with our 5 million users and identified that people who are recognized versus people who are not recognized, the attrition delta is 55%. Let me repeat. So if you recognize an employee, there's a 55% more chance that they will stay in your organization versus someone who has not been recognized. What is even better is that if an employee is recognized by their manager as well as their peer, then their recognition percentage improves by 80%, 78 to 80%. So it's very, very powerful. We all know how expensive talent replacement is. There are studies which claim it's 11 months of salary, then business cost is on top of that, including everything. So the other benefits of doing recognition is that it can help your employee branding. It can also help on the outcome of the company. And employee branding is a very powerful thing. When you get your employer branding right, your hiring becomes easier, your retention becomes easier, and recognition is a simple way of achieving that. Now let me talk about more soft aspects of recognition and impact. I'll go to the Cricket World Cup. So T. Dilip, who used to be a fielding coach for India, he came up with a very interesting initiative that if anyone fielded well, he gave them a badge. So the best fielder of the day actually got a badge, and you will see what happened there. So this is T23 World Cup, and this is Mr. Sir Ravindra Jadeja. He just did a catch. You can see the action he's making to Mr. T. Dilip that he wants the badge. You will see the same thing done by Shreyash Iyer. And this was happening in T23 World Cup. This is the iconic moment I'm sure all of us would remember. This is the most beautiful moment, I think, in last 1 year. I've seen this video 20 times myself. Now, if you look at it, he got a badge. And when you look at his face, you will see the happiness. And we are talking about people who are earning millions of dollars, who are popular, who probably, if they enter this room, all of us will want to talk to them. They care about this badge. They care about the recognition which doesn't carry any money. So if these guys care about this, then we are just regular human. Of course, we care about recognition. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We still have a minute, so we can take a question. Yeah.
Thanks, Sourabh. My name is Melissa from Wipro. We use Advantage Club. It's great. I think what we do struggle with is managers don't use it. So how would you encourage adoption?
Sure. So, yeah, go ahead, please. Great, thank you. That's a great feedback. We are using, on the Wipro side, we are not running the full program. There's someone else who runs it. We want to run it for you. Just to also cover the stats, and we have been talking to at least 4 different teams in Wipro right now to make that happen. In terms of if you are actually running Advantage Club, our budget utilization, like the amount of money you give to people, is in the north of 95%. And we ensure that. We'll send the reminders, we'll send the nudges. All our nudges are personalized not only for employees, but also for managers. So once we start moving in this direction, I'd love to make that happen. Overall, I'd love to connect with you offline for that. Moving on to the UI UX, that's something which is very precious to us. So a lot of has changed, I think, over the last 3 years. So if we look at the new UI, it's fairly interactive and you get high redemption rates. So there are two parameters which we measure internally, which is fairly consistent across all our organization, that at least at overall level, that our budget utilization rate, that is the money you give to the manager and what goes in employee's hand, is typically 95% plus. And on the employee side, our redemption rates are typically above 90%. So these are the two parameters we live by. That's a metric I track myself. And if my team doesn't deliver on it, that's their core KPI. They say it on their incentive mapping on our tool by themselves. Yeah, please.
I'm
Yes, so we do customize the UI and the white branding for all our clientele. And like a platform for Accenture would look very different from Tech Mahindra versus HCL or versus Tata Steel. So they are all different UIs. And we also do brand colors, logos, cultures, of course.